Hello and welcome back to the 100 Trade Review series. All right, let's jump right in. This is PRED April 3rd. The broader context of this trade is, or longer time frame, downtrend. We have some strong counter trend moves, but none of them really succeed. This one looks a bit different. Heavier volume, strong gap up. This pullback here has been rejected, so this stock was on the watch list, probably when the setup looked something like that. So fast forward a few days and the stock gaps up. Our entry was around 103 and was a minute off of the open. So this jump right here was pretty instantaneous. There wasn't much opportunity to get in. Stop all the way down here in the mid 60 cent range. So that's a 40% stop. Strong follow through on the same day, and we took 20% of the trade off in the low 120s. So we already had a pretty good jump on the first day. The rules for taking profits hadn't been set in stone yet, so still playing around with when to exit at 1R, at half R, and how much. So it seemed prudent though to take a little bit off into the strong move on the same day. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, so the next day it's kind of a wide range in the top half of this bar. Closed mostly unchanged. Not much to talk about there. And the following day we're stopped out on this wick here, just below our entry. So with the profits we took and getting stopped out just below the entry, this trade was basically a scratch. It was marginally positive, 0.03R. Fast forward a few days. Looks like we gapped up the next day and then just pretty consistent selling pressure after that. So, oh boy. Okay, so this gap down here is a good reason why we're using really wide stops. If our stop had been just 10 cents, let's say, below our entry here, so we're at 104 and our stop is just below this bar, if we'd had this gap down, that's like a 7R loss right there. But using the wider stop, a catastrophic sort of gap down like this, you're mitigating your risk to that's something like closer to a 2R loss, which it isn't great, but you can survive something like that. A 7R loss that's a big hole to dig yourself out of. So, all right, let's see what's up next. This is ADTN on April 3rd. So what we're looking at here is after the market had been selling off and then bounced pretty strongly into the beginning of April. We're looking at this consolidation, bull flag, whatever you want to call it, and we're just starting to move back above this pivot here. So we're looking for some follow through. Our entry is 828, and our stop is down here at roughly 726. Okay, so initial action is positive and then quickly reverses, and I believe our stop had been moved up just to below our entry bar here, but didn't quite make it. And then we get super lucky with this gap up, which we quickly capitalize on and take a third of the position off into that move. I'm going to keep saying it just to be thorough. We're still figuring out how to manage risk in these names, how much is appropriate to hold on to, how much is to allow it to come in, all of that kind of stuff. We're giving this a pretty wide berth, but pulls back, we rally again, and on this day I had tightened the stop pretty aggressively because earnings were in just a few days and I didn't want to hold over earnings. So we're out just below the low of this previous high here on this bar. So we get out of the other 2/3 at around 10.18, and that results in a pretty decent profit of 1.6R on the trade. This is CASA, C-A-S-A, on April 6th. So similar setup to the ADTN trade. The market had been selling off pretty hard, strong counter trend rally, bull flag, consolidation, however you want to look at it. So we break out of this consolidation and get long at around 359, 358 into that bar there. Stop down at 280, so giving it a little bit of room. Let's see. Took first profit here at 405, which I think was about 0.5 R on the trade. Let's keep going. And finally we get out of the rest of the trade up here at 518. This wick here is not the kind of follow through you want to see on a day like this, so locked in all the profits after this failure there. So that's pretty straightforward. And a 1.24R winner. Okay, this is TEDU on April 7th. We have a consolidation up here near the highs, kind of back and forth a little bit, and it looks like we might be starting to push higher. So I believe I top ticked my entry on this day at 398. Almost top ticked the entry there. So you can imagine this was a green bar. Let me get that price thing out of the way. Just by that green arrow, that was a green bar that looked pretty good when we entered, but didn't look so great on the close. But nothing to worry about yet. Stop is down here, about a buck lower, 298. Let's move on. Okay, so this isn't the greatest action right after you top tick an entry almost, but still just going sideways. We exit here and it's about a 0.36R loss. My stop would very likely have been adjusted to below the consolidation of these bars. And the reason I'm out at the top of this bar is I think there must have been, I think there was an announcement. There was news coming out, and there's no reason to be long when you're holding on to a loss into an unknown event like that. So I don't think it was earnings, but you can clearly see the volume spiked and this gap up. The company announced something, and I think it was known they were announcing something. So just decided to take the small loss on the trade and move on. So even though it would have turned out to have been profitable to hold, I don't think that's something you want to be have as part of your playbook. Small loss on the trade, not much else. Okay, and finally today, this is ARRX on April 8th. I top ticked my entry at 140 on this little bar here that turned into a nasty little wick there. Okay, so this bar would have been another good bar to get long had you not already been long the stock. This one actually looks a lot better than this entry. Looks a lot better than this entry here. And part of that's hindsight, but okay. So I take a very small profit here. I take the whole trade off actually, and I think it's only it's like a 0.13R winner. I honestly don't really remember what was going on and why we took the whole trade off. It might have had something to do with just our overall risk in the portfolio with the number of trades we had on, and it just made sense to try and take something off. That's something that is good to take notes on. There's nothing really about the pattern right here that tells me it's a good place to take profits. So I'm assuming there was some external consideration besides just the pattern. Yeah, after this bar, after this move up here and failure, I could see getting stopped out below the low of this bar. So that's part of the promise, just to show you everything. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.